Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Wake Up Call. We have transitioned over here into a brand new book, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself by Steve Chandler. And I got to thank my friend Patty Carson for recommending this book. We received it over the weekend, and I went ahead and read straight through it, the entire book. So I wanted to see what this is all about, and I got to tell you, it is chock full of lots of golden nuggets, and I am absolutely loving it. I loved yesterday's call with Tracy and Cindy. Get on your deathbed. What a great call that was. And today, chapter number 2, Stay Hungry. And I am going to read that for y'all right now, and then Jamie's going to give his take on it. I might come back in and give my take on it, and I hope everyone here will just sit back and listen and figure out, how does this apply to me? How does this apply to me today? So chapter number 2 is Stay Hungry. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was not famous yet, in 1976, when he and I had lunch together at the Doubletree Inn in Tucson, Arizona. Not one person in the restaurant recognized him. He was in town publicizing the movie Stay Hungry, a box office disappointment he had just made with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field. I was a sports columnist for the Tucson Citizen at the time, and my assignment was to spend a full day one-on-one with Arnold and write a feature story about him for our newspaper's Sunday magazine. I, too, had no idea who he was or who he was going to become. I agreed to spend the day with him because, I had to. It was an assignment. And although I took it with an uninspired attitude, it was one I'd never forget. Perhaps the most memorable part of the day with Schwarzenegger occurred when we took an hour for lunch. I had my reporter's notebook out and was asking questions for the story while we ate. At one point, I casually asked him, "Now that you've retired from bodybuilding, what are you going to do next?" With a voice as calm as if he were telling me about some mundane travel plans, he said, "I'm going to be the #1 box office star in all of Hollywood." Mind you, this was not the slim, aerobic Arnold we know today. This man was pumped up and huge. And so, for my own physical sense of well-being, I tried to appear as though I found his goal reasonable. I tried not to show my shock and amusement at his plan. After all, his first attempt at movies didn't promise much, and his Austrian accent and awkward, monstrous build didn't suggest instant acceptance by movie audiences. I finally managed to match his calm demeanor, and I asked him just how he planned to become Hollywood's top star. "It's the same process I used in bodybuilding," he explained. "What you do is create a vision of who you want to be and then live into that picture as if it were already true." This sounded ridiculously simple, too simple to mean anything, but I wrote it down and I never forgot it. I'll never forget the moment when some entertainment TV show was saying that box office receipts from his second Terminator movie had made him the most popular box office draw in the world. Over the years, I used Arnold's idea of creating a vision as a motivational tool. I've also elaborated on it in my corporate training seminars. I invite people to notice that Arnold said that you create a vision. He did not say that you wait until you receive a vision. You create one. In other words, you make it up. A major part of living a life of self-motivation is having something to wake up for in the morning, something that you are up to in life so that you will stay hungry. The vision can be created right now. Better now than later. You can always change it if you want, but don't live a moment longer without one. Watch what being hungry to live that vision does to your ability to motivate yourself. So, Mr. Yount, what's your take on this?
Well, thank you. And, man, I really was excited about this book. And obviously always been a fan of Arnold. So grew up, kind of watching Terminator and Conan and those movies. And now one of our favorite Christmas time movies is Jingle All the Way. So he's certainly become a pretty big star and a household name. I just saw a post that said when you think of this person or you think of Terminator, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. When you think of Superman, it's always going to be Christopher Reeves. And I So it's just crazy that today it's Arnold. So, I would say this kind of before we jump into all, it would apply to all of the 100 things. There's scientific proof that, motivation follows action, and many people get that wrong. They think action follows motivation. And so, like Arnold said here, or like anything we go through in the other 98 that are left in the two, one before and this one, he says create a vision and then live into it as if it were true. And I think it's so, it seems so simple, but if you have a vision of where you want to go, like he did, then when you live into it, certain things are not going to line up with that vision, right? And I think for him, obviously, walking away from bodybuilding to become an actor, he had a vision, and so there were certain things that he would do in that vision. For us, we had many years ago, just when we got married, a vision of having a great marriage. So there's things that you don't do, right, if that don't line up with that vision, right? We don't do a lot of things because that's what's important to us, but we live into that vision. We put family first. We put God at the center of our marriage. We don't do kind of the girls and guys night thing and all of that, and that's us, right? That's because that doesn't line up with a vision of what we want in life, right? I married my best friend, and so who else would I want to spend time with than my wife? So, but I think it also, really, the question is, what are you up to? I think it's so important because you can take it from Arnold, like what are you up to? He says, and I think, he went from bodybuilding to being an action star, and but that wasn't just it, right? I think you're either moving forwards or backwards in the key areas of your life and your vision. So once he achieved that vision, he could have lived on his past success. He's the greatest bodybuilder, of all time, still to this day. Everyone's compared to him in that field. When you think about a Terminator, there's literally no one else, right? Conan, it's Arnold. He's established himself. But what was next? He went on and he did the Arnold Fest. It's here in Ohio, Columbus. They have a big powerlifting meet, the Strongman. You watch it on TV. It's just a huge thing that people come from all over the world. But then, what else? He went on to become governor, and he's always kind of living into a vision. So it's important, right, at every stage in your life. What are you up to now? What gets you out of bed? And it's not living on your past successes, right? That's so important, right? A lot of times I played basketball with the guy. He always would tell me about how, this is what I did when there was no three-point line and I scored 30 points. And he would always go on and on about what he did, back in the day. And he was a lot smaller than me. And I would look at him as we stood across the, for the jump ball, and I'd say, well, what is that going to do for you right now? That doesn't mean anything. Now we have a three-point line. That was high school. We're men now. But, when you think of that, that's so important in your vision. Like, what are you up to now? And do you have a vision for your life? And, are you living into it as if it were true, right? Which is priorities. You could spend a whole week training about living into a vision. But I think, really it's what's important to you. I know for us, family is important, kingdom work, right? Putting God first in everything we do is important. And time, right? Time together is important for us, and obviously we love what we do. It's impacting people, helping people, and we're part of God's company doing God's work. So there's so much you can do with that, but stay hungry is such a important thing, because I think the opposite of staying hungry is being complacent. And, when you're hungry and you're moving towards a vision, God can only guide your steps when you're taking them, right? He doesn't, he can't guide your steps when you're sitting on the couch. You don't have to be moving fast. You don't have to be running, but you got to be moving, and he'll guide your steps. He always will stand in the gap, and he will, help you to live into that vision. And it's all about him anyways. It's all because of him. And so we give credit to where credit is due, because he is the one that gives it all to us in the first place. He's the one that creates that vision within us.
I love that, Amy, and I love this chapter on staying hungry. I love everything you have said. It makes complete sense, and you might be on this phone right now saying, well, I'm not really sure how to create that vision. I'm not sure what to do. I would just encourage you to, ask God to help you and to pull that out of you. Maybe ask some close friends and family members around you. And one thing that I always think about is, and it kind of goes with yesterday's chapter, if you live with the end in mind, fast forward to, your last day on this earth, live with the end in mind. What would you want people to say about you at your funeral? What are people going to say about you at your funeral? And then create that vision of how you want to live your life until that time. I spend a lot of time thinking about that, quite honestly, because it just keeps me in check and in alignment with my personal vision of my life right now. At the end of my life, I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. By God, that's definitely what I strive towards every day. But I also want to be remembered as a loving person, a kind person, someone that gave people hope and taught them maybe how to dream for themselves and to go for it. Whatever that go for it looks like. I want to be remembered as, a wife that lifted her husband up, that, was a safe place for him to land when things were difficult and hard, and someone to encourage him and, just being his helpmate. I want to be remembered as an awesome mother. It's one thing that I think about, on the daily, as well as trying to be, a great wife to Jamie, but just, I believe with Mother's Day coming up, it's just really fresh on my heart. I believe that motherhood is a ministry of availability, always being available no matter what. And I think that that's so important for me personally. I want my boys to look back on their life and then say, wow, I had a mom that was always there for me. Always there. Not a perfect mom, not a mom that had it all together, but just a mom that was always there for me. And so because that's my vision, that's what I know I want my boys to say about me, along with, being a loving mom as well. But because I know that, that's what I want. That's my vision. Every day I work towards being available. So it wouldn't make any sense if my kids said, hey, Mom, I need you. And I said, well, not right now. Not right now. I'm busy. Not right now. And it's so easy to do in this world we live in with technology and this little box that I'm holding in my hand right now, right? It's just to put it off. Not right now. Not right now. I don't have time to work on my marriage. I don't have time. I'm doing this. And, again, get to the end of your days and think, what do I want my life to look like, and start creating that right now. I made a post on Facebook, and I didn't realize it'd get the reaction that it did yesterday, but Jamie and I, and he said it long ago, we were determined to have a great marriage. We wanted a great marriage because we believe that that's the foundation for a great family. And I believe it starts there. And so we just started doing these little things. It goes back to the book we read, 100 days of, the little things are the big things. And one of those things was we danced to our wedding song. Now, ironically, our wedding song is like 9 minutes long. It's an old song. It's Tesla's What You Give, and it's a long wedding song. But we dance to that every day, no matter what's going on. We spend time and we put that song on and we dance together. And that's just a way to reconnect and stay committed, but it goes right along with that vision of we wanted a great marriage. So start with the end in mind. Start thinking about that today. It's never too late. He says it in the book. You can create that right now, today. Go to the end of your days. What do you want your life to look like? And let that motivate you to stay in alignment as you're creating a vision for your life. And that's what we got today for y'all. We hope you'll continue to join for the rest of the week right here for this wake-up call. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie. He's going to stop the recording, unmute the lines, and that's a wrap for today. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. I know it's coming out there, coming out there on the table for us all. So happy Mother's Day to you all.
Yes, happy Mother's Day, and hang on just a second as we stop the recording, unmute everyone.